Hey, good afternoon. My name is Charlie King. I'm with Heroic Fatherhood, and I am starting a new short-term series where I'm going to do a series of trainings every day, every weekday between now and sort of early September, because we have some great stuff coming up in early September that I want to share with you as well. And I have this program that I'm launching, and you're going to hear a lot more about it in the time in the future and upcoming. But I wanted to share some stuff with you guys in the meantime, some distinctions that I found that are super important for supporting me both as a parent, a husband, and a professional that I found super important and really break open relationships. And the first one is the power of the apology. And if you are somebody who's ever messed up in your life, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a like or a heart, because somehow I think that you out there have probably messed up like me. I seem to mess up all the time, whether it's forgetting to stop by the grocery store or forgetting to do something or not noticing that something I asked got done and then ended up getting done. I have this tendency to mess up, and I'm curious if you recognize that you do that sometimes as well. But here's the thing. We have this averse to apologizing for when we mess up. See, we mess up all the time. We make mistakes. We forget to do things, whether this is at home with our significant other, whether this is at work with our boss and our coworkers, or with our kids as a parent. And what we're really talking about is the fact that we make promises or make commitments, and for some reason, intentional or otherwise, we do not keep our commitments. And where the gap for us is about the impacts of not keeping our word and our relationship with apology. Because the bottom line is that our relationship with apologizing, it kind of stinks. We have this societal relationship with apology where we don't want to apologize because, especially as men, and see if you can recognize this, is like apologizing means that we are less than, right? Like that we are wrong, and that it's easy to interpret as that we're feeling that this is a reflection of us being weak, or that we're rolling over for something, or we're somehow losing credibility or losing authority, or even just simply losing influence. And as men, society teaches us, maybe it's part of our DNA, maybe it's part of our society. It's certainly not something that's comfortable, but it's often something that is shied away from. And the most difficult part is when we knowingly did something that we didn't mean to, or maybe we did mean to, and we know that an apology is in order, and yet we don't, because it has a dramatic impact. See, the dramatic impact of withholding an apology is that it creates a separation between ourselves and somebody else. We're actually create this huge separation between us and somebody else. We've created an energy that's between us and somebody else. And where there had been clarity or connection or something else between us, that's now gone away. That's fallen away because there's now this thing in between us where something happened, and it obviously, we said something or did something, and we have not taken responsibility for it. Now, not responsibility from feeling like we have to, or we need, or we're, it's a must that we have to do this, but we have to take responsibility for our actions. We have to take responsibility for what we did and what we didn't do, whether we kept our word or didn't keep our word, or we did something different than what we said we were going to. And it creates a separation, and it's a breakdown in relationship. At the end of the day, it's really a breakdown in relationship, and it can have significant impacts. Now, I want to talk about the impacts that it can have on our kids. Now, I know you may be looking at this from a work standpoint or maybe with your spouse, but I want to take a look at this specifically with your kids. When something happens between us and our kids, when we come home and we've had a bad day and somebody left the milk out and you flail away using some unkind words to your kids, or say that thing that you immediately regret and send them off to their room because they should know better, or they didn't get their homework done, or they come home with a bad grade, or they didn't make the team, or they really did make a bad choice. And we say or do that thing that almost as soon as it's done, we know we shouldn't have done. Very often like the way that the traditional parenting is like, well, I'm the parent and sometimes I make mistakes, but you go off to your room and that's the way it is. And just, I know better because I'm your parent. And what we're teaching our kids is that this just puts this huge separation between us and them. If they have done something wrong, it feels like they're being shamed for what they did. If they have done something wrong, they feel like they've shamed for what they did, and that you're removing your love from them. And that's no scarier thing in the world for a kid, that you're removing your love and you're removing your connection to them. If it's something that they didn't do, that you misinterpreted, or you just had a bad day and you unload on them, they are confused and they're not quite sure what's going on. And that can be scary for kids. And they don't know why something's like this. And they feel separated from us and they feel disconnected from us. And this is a really difficult place to leave kids in. And we're also teaching them that, this is the crazy thing, right? We're teaching them that adults always know best. And even when they do the wrong thing, they can do whatever they want. And they can say it's the right thing and it just is. Whereas the reality is we all make mistakes all the time and we apologize all the time. But we need to make sure that we're teaching that to our kids. It's like, hey, I think I just said something I think I just said something that really hurt your feelings. And if I did, I'm super sorry. It was not intentional, but I did say something that hurt your feelings. It looks like it hurt your feelings. It feels like it hurt your feelings. And I wish I hadn't said it. Or, like whatever that thing is when we apologize, what we're doing is reconnecting with our children. We're reconnecting with the people we love. We're reconnected with the people at work or in our spouse. What we want to do is really figure out, we've created a gap by taking an action or not taking an action or saying something that's created a gap between us and the people around us. And it's really critical that the apology is not a less than, it's not a weaker, it's not a losing authority or bowing down in front of somebody else, but it is asking for forgiveness and acknowledging that there was an action or some words that you said that are worthy of asking for an apology. But they don't have to have significance. If you're out of the habit of apologizing, it can seem like they're super significant. Like, oh, I can't apologize. It's like it means something. Really, it isn't. Apologizing is just acknowledging that you're a human being. I do this on a regular basis. I'm a human being. I screw up all the time. I make promises I don't keep. But the moment I notice that I don't keep a promise, I reach out immediately and apologize to the person that I didn't keep the promise to, and I ask for their forgiveness so that we can move forward together. And here's the beauty of it, right? When we apologize, it relieves that gap that we've created between us and another person. It relieves the gap. It allows us to show our humanity. It allows us to show our kids, to show our bosses, to show our spouses that we're human too, and we make mistakes, and that's just who we are. It gives them the opening to see that it's okay to mess up and ask for forgiveness. Now, that may be true for your kids. It may be true for your spouse. Maybe your spouse does apologize. Maybe they don't. But by being able to show our willingness to be vulnerable, to be open, to share ourselves, we get the opportunity to open ourselves up and be seen in a new light. I have a lot of experience with apologizing. I'm a human being. I have to apologize in my life, in my work, and as a parent. My experience of it is that it has dramatic value when you're willing to break up this old habit of, I did what I did, I said what I said, and that's it. Because it may take days, weeks, or months to repair that gap that you've created, or it can be repaired in a moment, in a frank, honest conversation. There's no greater gap either in work or in life than the unwillingness to acknowledge that there's a gap between what we said and what we did. There's no greater gap, and it stymies everything. It stymies connection. It stymies relationship. It stymies intimacy, right? Like that true connection that you have between you and other people. Then to create a gap by saying something or doing something or not doing something you said you would, and not owning up and taking responsibility for it. Allowing yourself to apologize for something that you did and taking ownership of it, asking forgiveness so as to move forward with a relationship is one of the most powerful things you can do. And it can be the window to a brand new era in a relationship. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. I'll be up every day, every weekday between now and mid-September, and I look forward to seeing you around. It's been Charlie King with Heroic Fatherhood. Have a great rest of your day.